Hello, my name is Jeff Dollar. I'm the pastor of Community Bible Church in Portage, Pennsylvania. I'm also an elder in the Evangelical Methodist Church, which is centered in Kingsport, Tennessee. We are a small group of conservative Methodists, which came out of the Episcopal Methodist Church, I believe, in 1946. Dr. W.W. Breckbill led the movement out of that church because of the apostasy which he saw there, the unbelief which was rampant in some of the leadership, and that was quite a while ago. He wrote this letter to his district superintendent. God began to show me the condition of Methodism and why I ought not to support it. For over 7 years, I have fought against the voice in my own soul, hoping that someday Methodism would come back to the faith that gave her birth. But instead, conditions have grown worse. And now God has spoken to my heart in no uncertain terms, separate, or I can no longer bless. And that was 77 years ago, before the United Church was formed. Has conditions gotten any better in mainline Methodism? That's a question that needs to be asked. Now, it appears that as we speak, the United Methodist Church is going through a major split. And there is the possibility that a church may retain its property for perhaps a very small window of time. The question is, should I stay or go? Now, though I am a Methodist, I am not part of the United Methodist Church. I would appeal to those ministers and churches who consider themselves traditionalists or conservatives to really consider whether or not you should take this opportunity to leave. In looking from the outside in, the United Methodist Church is in chaos. It's in chaos and confusion. You know, I've been keeping up with some of the events there, and I didn't realize the depth of, you can only call it depravity, of what has been going on within the walls of that church. You have bishops that are flagrantly disobeying their ordination vows and the discipline, and marrying same-sex couples. You have bishops that are being ordained as practicing homosexuals. You have drag queens now within the church. I've seen 2 news broadcasts where there's been drag queen shows inside Methodist churches. And in one case, there's a man who does a drag show of some sorts right from the pulpit as a potential United Methodist minister. I saw the video clip from Duke University, I believe it was, which apparently trains a lot of clergy for the United Methodist Church, calling God the queer one. The blasphemies which came out, we can't even repeat. It makes us sick to the stomach to listen and to having to hear this from perhaps future Methodist ministers. These are things that you need to consider. The point of the matter is, if you want to please the Lord, you need to get out of that organization. The Scriptures warn those who wish to stay in communion with apostates in Revelation chapter 18, verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not her plagues." You know, to stay in Methodism, especially now that there is a split going on and the conservatives are leaving, you're going to be staying with a group that is going to be claiming control of the denomination. It's just a matter of time, and I believe that the postponing of the General Conference was for that very purpose, in order that the votes might be there, that they can remove the language from their discipline prohibiting the marriage of homosexuals in churches. That is coming, and you're going to have to yoke up with that. The drag queens, the immorality, the false doctrine. Now, it's said that, well, we're not going to change the articles. Well, no, you don't have to change the articles, you just ignore them. Bishops just can simply ignore the articles and nothing's done. They're not removed. There's whole sections of the where bishops have flagrantly disobeyed the discipline, and there's no ramifications for it. As a believer, you have to make the hard choice now to leave with or without your church building. Now, Dr. Breckbill and those who came out with him in 1946 left their buildings and their pensions behind. And there are many others, not just him, but there were others and other Methodist groups that felt the need to do that. That unbelief had taken charge in high places. It's not going to get any better. It's just going to get worse. If you do not take the opportunity that you have now, you will either have to leave without your building or tolerate holding hands with those who are flagrant unbelievers and apostates and promoters of immorality. Now, there are other Methodist groups you may join, which includes the Evangelical Methodist Church. Now, we remain a small group with a few churches. There's more in Africa, as similar to the UM Church. You will also find that we are very conservative. We still believe in Paul's command in 2 Timothy and 1 Corinthians that women aren't to teach in the church, or not to be given a place of authority as far as church leaderships and pastors and so on. So if you believe that, then of course you would not feel comfortable in a group such as ours. But if you do, that's something to consider as well. If you are of like mind, contact me by email, which I'll have at the end of this video, and I can put you in contact with a superintendent that can help you if you're looking into another group to join. Now, our hearts go out to ministers and churches whose ministries are being hindered by having to yoke up with rank apostates. I can say this because I'm not in the United Methodist Church. I view it from the outside. There's some people in some of the churches in our group that still have the name Methodist have felt the need to take the name Methodist off of their church because people don't know what they're getting into when they walk into a Methodist church. It may be a traditional Bible-believing church. You may be evangelical, but people don't know. They could walk in and find a homosexual pastor, or those who perform homosexual weddings, or those who deny the faith. They just simply don't know. So if that's the case, then for you, and you feel compelled and your conscience is leading you that direction, we do ask that you take action on that while you have time, and that you may experience the blessing of the Lord. And thanks for your time.